Finally, the moment a couple of you have been waiting for.
It's all like bing bong, Jack.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Duval and St. Johns County. The show for Jag fans by Jag fans.
You can't have a newcomer come in and steal the show.
Here are your hosts, Franklin and Michael how you say it? DeZoba. Welcome to the Jaggernaut Podcast. All right, we would thank you for joining us once again. We are your hosts. I'm Frank. That guy over there is Mike, and we're going to be talking Colts today. We talked the Titans last time you guys joined us, trying to take a look through the AFC South opponents.
Frank, 1 second. Duval. Let me get a big Duval out there.
I'm repping the old school jersey. I thought that was good enough.
Yeah, I got
season hadn't started. I'm not in season four.
Old school Jags Jag shirt on. Can't tell. Different hat. Whatever. So
yeah, I can't tell that's a Jags. That's a Jag shirt.
That is a Jag shirt, brother. Yep.
Oh, man.
It's old, man. Old. Like me.
The old Colts, man. That's the team, if memory serves, that we tore up to end the season. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, of course I remember that, but I don't know how much research you did on this one, but man, this team's scary on paper.
This team's terrible. What are you talking about? We saw them
week
17.
Yeah. Look, I get it. But if I'm not mistaken, it's week 2 coming here, right? Week 2, week 3.
Yeah. Washington, then home for the Colts, right?
Then home for the Colts, right? This team's going to be a scary team.
Yeah, it's funny. They're one of these teams that trying to think how to phrase it. I mean, maybe if you just focus on the AFC only, because AFC, what matter? The NFC doesn't matter anymore anyway. Everybody's over in the AFC. They're probably what would you consider like the 5th, 6th?
The Colts?
Yeah.
Well, so first of all, they have to dethrone the Titans, but I think that's going to happen. I think that's going to happen this year. But I didn't think that the Colts were as good as the roster can be, I think, just with some of the additions. Okay, so let's start on offense, right? Matt Ryan as quarterback, he supplants Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is gone. We'll see him week 1. Yeah. Week 2, we have Matt Ryan. Does Matt Ryan scare you? Do you think he's better than Carson Wentz? Give me a little bit about Matt Ryan.
Okay,
Matty,
so
ice, baby. So
Matt Ryan, no. Does he scare me? No, but he could be sneaky good for them because to what you're talking about, season or game 17 of last year aside, the team is good on paper. One of the best teams in the league on paper. They've got an offensive line that's much better than what Matty Ice had in Atlanta.
Yeah. Now, do you remember last year, Matty Ice beat us with a worse roster?
Yeah. Well, but a lot of people beat us, and you just threw away the fact that we beat them. So, it's the NFL. So I think that there's something to be said there. The Jags are the Jags too.
It can happen. I just did not think that. I didn't think the Colts on paper were as good as what I ended up seeing.
So does Matty Ice scare you?
Personally, no. But you put him with Jonathan Taylor, that scares me.
Yeah.
See, so when I went through and I was looking at some of the stats, they didn't throw a whole lot to their receivers. Matt Ryan, he's going to throw to his receivers.
Now, do you think that's philosophy, or do you think that was Carson Wentz? That was a Carson Wentz issue.
Yeah, no, I think it was philosophy compounded by Carson Wentz. They wanted a game manager because they could run the ball, stop the run. That's what they wanted because they were going to run Jonathan Taylor into the ground, and that's what they did.
Yeah, which is interesting because I remember thinking about him in fantasy football, and the word about that was that's not something Frank Reich likes to do. He really likes that the running back carousel, but now he definitely that tells you what I think he thinks about Jonathan Taylor, and kind of backed it up too.
Well, yeah, I mean, we always say you fit your philosophy for the players that you have.
Yeah,
he realized he had one of the best backs in the NFL, and he wrote it. Nothing wrong with that, man. But yeah, it's again, here we are. We're coming back. We just covered the Titans. Here we are with the Colts. Last year it was run the ball, stop the run. This year it's going to be run the ball, stop the run. However, I think Matt Ryan, with all of his experience, is good enough that when they need to throw, I think they're going to be able to throw. It may not be 70-yard bombs.
Yeah.
But it will.
Third down conversions.
Yes.
Continuing to chew the clock.
Now, the good thing is that he's not mobile. If you can get to him, if something happens with this offensive line, the offensive line was ranked 10th last year. But if I'm not mistaken, they have 3 new guys coming in to join the other 2. That's a new offensive line. They may not be the 10th best offensive line.
Let's hope.
So, yeah, let's hope. So that's
so let me ask you this. Since we're on Matty Ice, how does his receiving, I know he didn't have anything in Atlanta. I don't know who they had in Atlanta. I'm not blown away by the receiving core of the Colts, though.
And that's correct.
From Michael Pittman.
Yep.
That nobody else does anything for me.
And you're right. Nobody else behind them. They drafted defense, they drafted offensive line, and they basically went run the ball, stop the run. Outside of the receiver, the one receiver, Michael Pittman, they don't have anybody. Nobody that's going to scare you. But they may not need him. They like to throw to their tight ends. They like to throw to their backs out of the backfield. That was what they did last year.
Right.
And maybe that was because Carson Wentz. Maybe that was a philosophy. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe they got an upgraded quarterback. They also brought in a Jacksonville Jaguars starting quarterback, who used to be a starting quarterback before he got hurt and Minshew Mania took off. We are talking about the Philadelphia Savior himself, Nick Foles.
Is it worth talking about, though?
No, middle of the road journeyman. I believe we're going to see Matt Ryan. So at this point, Nick Foles he's just their backup, but a good backup.
I think if the theory is that Carson Wentz did more to hurt the team than he did to help the team, I think, we could see that improvement that the Colts coaching staff or front office has been looking for.
That is correct. All right.
And Foles matches that similar mindset, I think.
And I agree. He's not going to break your back.
Yeah.
But
he's going to run the offense.
Yeah, but he's going to run the offense. He's going to do what he has to do. He's not going to make a ton of mistakes. That's what I think.
Maximize the roster, I think, is what they're going for.
And
maybe they felt like Wentz couldn't do that.
If by chance Matt Ryan falls off a cliff, because it does happen. All of a sudden, they come out with these limp noodles for arms. There's nothing there. If by chance that does happen, it is a great safety net having Nick Foles there. Because at least when he was in Jacksonville, his arm was still okay.
And it probably still is
3 years ago, but it probably still is because he's not a starter. Right. So he hadn't killed it anywhere. Backup running back, Philip Lindsay. What do you think about that? So you got Jonathan Taylor and Philip. I saw it and I was like, man, that's a decent change of pace guy.
Well, they have Nehemiah Hines, or however you say that.
Yeah.
And they love the Colts fans love that guy. And he does when they put him on the field, he makes plays. So so Philip Lindsay doesn't really blow me away because I don't expect him to be used much.
See,
he's an insurance policy in my mind.
I think he's a niche role. Maybe insurance policy. I think he's a niche role.
I mean, it's a good backfield. It's a good backfield.
Yeah. But so again, their weak link is basically behind their number one receiver. They have Mo Alley Cox, who for some reason I've never thought was all that great of a tight end.
He's had flashes,
but he's solid. Yeah, he's solid.
He's solid.
Right now, they did lose Jack Doyle. He retired this year,
Yeah.
so they don't have him anymore. So they're down to him. So they're again. I think that guy is solid.
They drafted a tight end too that they're hoping stuff out of.
Yeah. So again, 3 new guys on the O line. They were what? Their offense was 16th in the NFL last year. Do you think they're going to be better this year?
On paper, it sure seems that way. I guess you have to say that because although you would have liked to have seen them improve at wide receiver, let me throw this out at you. Any fear? I don't want to say feared. I don't know that you could fear this, but any thought about the possibility of a Matt Ryan, Julio Jones reunification?
Yeah, I think if that happens, the Colts win the division. I think right now, looking at it, the Colts are the front runner. I think you would be stupid to look at these people, to look at the transactions, to look at last year and say that the Colts aren't, at least on paper, the better team out of the AFC South. Now, granted, Tennessee can still beat them. Why? Run the ball, stop the run. That's what the Colts like to do. You force them into those street fights, and every now and again, you can walk away the winner. So, and that's what we got to do. I don't know that we have the horses to beat this team. And the reason may not necessarily be all on offense. It may actually be on defense.
Well, we thought the defense could really make some changes this year. So let's see what happens. I mean, there's room for optimism because if anything, we're going to be able to stop the run. Well, on paper, we look like we're trying to gear up to stop the run. So if that's the case, let's just say if we're better at doing that, then you do put Matt Ryan in a worse situation than because the complexion changes quite a bit. Not so bad though. I feel better about the Colts moving the ball on us than I would the Titans. I feel like if we shut the Titans down or slow Henry down, I would say shut him down. We slow Henry down. I think you can win that game easily. I think maybe not so much on paper with the Colts, although we have done really well as week 17 showed against this team.
That's right. But this team is going to be out for blood. So keep that. This is already circled. The owner circled.
Yeah, they hate that loss.
Yes. The owner circled.
But sometimes it doesn't work like that.
Look, I get it. Sometimes.
Hey, we've been out for blood against the Titans for decades, dude.
No, I don't think we have, man. Same thing with the Texans.
Fans
you
have.
ever wonder why every time we go to play the Texans in Texas, it's always Battle Red Day?
Yeah, I'd never understood that.
It's funny. People hate us, and we don't seem to hate anybody.
No, we're the Titans. What are you talking about?
We're like the pacifists. No, our team doesn't. Our team rolls over like a bunch of little choir girls.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, yes, of course that's true. But the Colts, I mean, why do you? I'm saying maybe to the fact that why do you assume the Colts are going to be like? First of all, the Colts are a sort of an efficient team.
Look, you say this.
I don't know.
If you're not getting better, you're getting worse, right? To me,
everybody got better in our division except for the Titans.
Yes, I think the Colts got better. I think the Colts, to me, looking at it, and I didn't think it was this. I thought Tennessee had the edge because they had won it before, because they're a good team. They have a good defense. They're solid in what they do. Looking at these changes, man, I have to give the edge to the Colts right now. The Colts are the team.
I already gave the edge to the Colts just based on the way the schedule broke down.
Say, I gave it to Tennessee.
So I think their schedule's the best. And just me looking at it subjectively, and the way everything laid out as much as you can, and you add into the fact that this is going to be this is one of the better rosters in the league. So yeah, they should. And if you add in the fact that they do have you know, their hair on fire against us, that's going to really suck for us. We need some wins. We need some teams, because I gave us the split against the Colts, so I'm hoping that's
and
still
so
the
did
case.
but I think I flipped them to
Yeah.
that next
Yeah, you
game,
did, I think.
and we're going to take one in Indy is what I think, because I think they're going to beat us. And then they're going to be like, oh, we've already spanked this team. And then it should hopefully be right about the time we start gelling. Anyway, that's my rant.
I think they're gonna. I think they may have sent the scapegoat Carson Wentz off with the hex of the Jag, thinking that that did it. I don't think it. Look, Carson Wentz didn't lose that game. That whole team sucked, and they think they've solved the problem. Maybe they have, but new quarterback, new system, second game too. Let's remember that.
Yeah.
So now we do have a new system too, even though.
Right.
Hey,
Yeah,
man, I'm trying to
but
figure
their quarterback,
things out.
their quarterback has like 13 years experience. Ours has 1 with Urban Meyer.
Ours is generational.
Well, that's what I hear.
Ours was a much better quarterback prospect, sir.
Yeah, well, we'll find out, won't we? So yeah, they were 16th on offense. I think they'll be right about that, maybe a little better.
Plus, we have Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk. Yeah. All right, man. Defense. Here we go. Let me ask you. A man we know very well.
Yep.
Gus Bradley. Did I fool you? Did I fool you? You thought I was going defensive end, didn't you?
I did. Yeah.
Yep.
I did.
Yep. Well, I'll circle back to him in a moment.
I know you will.
But I'm going with Gus Bradley. I'm going with the puppeteer, man, not the puppet, the puppeteer. So he is a Tampa 2. He does a hybrid. He has that linebacker. What did they call him here? They didn't call him. He wasn't an edge rusher. God, you don't remember that
specialist? Leo? Was it Leo?
No.
You sure it wasn't Leo?
I thought it was more violent than that. Or they tried to make it like this is the razor position. He just knifes in, and it was something stupid like that. It was like when we drafted Denard Robinson, they called him a weapon.
Yeah, the weapon.
Right. Yeah.
They also called Brian Anger the weapon.
Oh, yeah, that's true too. Oh, well, whatever. But yeah, he had something like that. I can't remember. It was some outside linebacker position that they bring in during blitz packages or something like that.
I thought it was the Leo.
So maybe it is, but I swore it was something else. And really, by the time we fired him, I was so glad I didn't have to hear that analogy anymore, because whatever menacing name they had given to that position, it did not live up to any billing here. So anyway, he goes to San Diego. Was San Diego's defense, do you remember it being vaunted? I know they had good players.
It was good because of pass rush, and I mean they were good. They were good. I'm not going to sit there and say, I'm not an expert by any means on San Diego football, but I don't remember them being a weak link. But they weren't. I do know that, you got you have Bosa and who's the other guy? Is it Mac? What? That's not Mac. I forget. Anyway, but they had 2 good defensive ends that were, so it's hard to, how much credit do you want to give Gus Bradley? And plus he's Gus Bradley. He's always going to be Gus Bradley to us. So, well,
that's true, but you got to, if you look over his time in Jacksonville, he ran the Seattle defense, again, it's really just a base Tampa 2. It is a 4-3 with, we should know how to beat a Tampa 2.
Well, Trevor Lawrence plays last year. Trevor Lawrence actually read and played Tampa 2 defenses very decently well for a rookie. So he's only going to get better at that in my mind. So I don't know. I mean, let's move on. This is okay. Gus Bradley. We're spending too much time on Gus Bradley.
Okay. Yeah. I saw you. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, here we go, brother. Unique Ngakoue. We know him.
Yeah.
Hadn't been able to
run the ball at him
since he left. That's exactly what I'm thinking.
You just run the ball at them.
You isolate them and put a big fat guy just running right downhill on them.
Yeah.
Traps, draws, plays, whatever. Just pull that guard out and let the guard go smash it.
Yeah, he's definitely one-dimensional. That was the one thing. His dimension's good though. He can rush the passer.
I agree. Yeah, I still like him. I still don't have any qualms against him. But you put him with Darius.
No,
Leonard.
I do, because he wouldn't take. He lost money not to be here. So that.
Yeah, but if somebody's going to tell you you're worth more and you know that you're not,
he didn't get paid more. He didn't get paid more.
No. They said he wasn't worth what he wanted, so he took less to leave. And guess what? The NFL has not paid him that. So technically he wasn't. But still, I admire that.
They were willing to pay him more than he was worth. And he didn't. Yes. He thought he was too much. He's too good for that.
But I admire that. You put the risk on yourself. It didn't pay dividends for him. But
I don't dislike the guy for it. But I'm just saying, it's like, hey, that's, you're deficient in one area. So I'm not going to sit there and look at you as some great player. And I don't blame the Jaguars, and I blame the Jaguar front office for a lot of things, but I don't blame him for that.
I agree. I thought they offered him a decent deal, a good deal. I thought he should have took it, but that's me. I was a Jags fan. I liked him at the time. Last year, their defense was 10th. I know we talked about this last time because I brought it up with the Titans. And you said that they play us twice and they played the Texans twice. Now that may be all fair and good.
Yeah.
But they just added Yannick Ngakoue, Gus Bradley, and this cornerback, Stephon Gilmore.
Now he's 32 years old now, coming off an injury.
Yeah.
Multiple injuries, I think.
Multiple injuries.
So, I mean, it's a gamble. They didn't pay much for him, so it's a good gamble on their part.
I agree, but did this defense let's start.
On paper, it improved.
Yep, at the 10th best defense in the NFL, and this defense got better.
They focused on their
problems,
their needs.
Yep.
So it's
hard
and when
they got pass rush and they got cover corners.
Now they went out and got an Eagles safety, Rodney McLeod, or however you say his name.
I think it's McLeod.
Okay, and
I think he's okay. I don't think he's great.
He was there he's an average starter, it seems like.
Yeah.
Not enough to keep him with the Eagles, but enough to where he seemed to be their starter, I guess. So
yeah, good enough to be a starter, but also good enough to be expendable when the next decent guy comes along. They look
to be at the other safety, hoping that their rookie's going to be the player. So I don't know about you, but I don't mind that aspect of it, because if you're hoping for a rookie, that's the type of stuff I don't like as a team. When the Jags do it, I don't like for us to draft starters. You draft backups and then next year hope they become starters. That's what good teams do. So that part there seems like a weakness to me in the secondary. So we'll see. But they have high hopes for the guy. I'm not too familiar with Nick Cross is his name. So I don't know as far as a college prospect how good he is, though. Not familiar with him.
Well, they went 9-8 last year. Do they do that again? I mean, granted, now not 4 of those. Well, not 4 of them. 3 of those were against Jacksonville and Houston.
Yeah.
Do they beat?
I don't remember what I gave them when we did the season ranking. I don't think they do much better than that. I'd give them like 10 wins
at most.
Yeah, because AFC's loaded. You still got to play the AFC.
I agree. It could be 10 wins or it could be 10 losses.
AFC South is I think whoever wins that may be like a 9-win team. Whoever wins the AFC South. That's why I'm hopeful we have a shot.
And that's it. So this is another reason. Like again, after doing this little amount of research, and it wasn't a lot. This ain't my day job. But after doing this amount of research on both Tennessee and the Colts, which were the 2 best teams in our division last year, Jacksonville definitely has an uphill battle, at least when it comes to the Colts. However, what I do see that we have drafted and we have moved in a direction to stop the run. I don't know if we're running the ball, but we have definitely moved in a direction to stop the run. And when you have Jonathan Taylor and you have Derrick Henry in your division, you have to shut them down.
Man, I wish Robinson didn't get hurt last year.
Yeah, I know. Then I would be like, oh, we can be just like these guys. Run the ball, stop the run. That's how we win. We make it a street fight, slugfest. Nothing pretty, no aerial acrobatics. It's walk up to the other guy, look him in his eye, and punch him in his mouth and see who falls first.
Yeah, because my thought is that if we could get close to being equal to the other two teams in the division that matter right now, Houston doesn't. But in running back, then I think we can get the edge at quarterback, because I think TL is going to make that leap this year, and I'm not too worried about that. I mean, we'll have to see if that happens, but in other words, we should have pieces in place to compete against these two teams. It would help if our running backs were healthy. So if I don't know when Robinson's slated to return. Green stuff is positive right now. And Travis Etienne, man, you can't count on that. That's what stinks. But I mean, we'll see. I know he's dynamic as can be when he played in college, but this is the pros.
This ain't college, yeah. Rocket Ishmael was dynamic in college. You remember that? Now that's going way back, but he was dynamic. He didn't do shit in the pros.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know we can't count on it, and that's what's up. Oh yeah, that's another guy. Another.
There's a lot of guys that played.
Oh yeah, the quick twitch guys just couldn't do it here.
Yeah.
It's funny what happens when everybody else is fast. So,
yeah. Well, here's somebody that I should have mentioned when we were on the offense, but they're really high on Alex Pierce. I don't know where they drafted him, but he's supposed to be a very Julio Jones type of player, in the sense that he is tall, runs a 40 time, jumps, he's got the vert, he's got everything you want.
Was he drafted in the first round?
No, I don't think he was drafted in the first round.
Yeah, Julio, was he drafted in the second round?
I think he was drafted in the third, but don't quote me on it.
Because Julio was a first round draft pick. Now he may have the similar size and similar speed, but these guys come through all the time. It almost the same thing. You typically do not have Jamar Chase, right? Jamar Chase came in, and I really thought he was not going to do very well, just based off of him not being able to catch in the preseason. But when the games mattered, he turned it on, and I don't think he dropped a damn ball. He got paid. He should probably not get paid, but he was a first round draft pick that earned that title for a receiver. Yeah. And that's sort of the problem, is like first round wide receivers hardly ever earn the title in year one, and maybe even in year two.
And that, on that point, that's why I don't know it matters so much where he was drafted, because you oftentimes don't see the wide receivers that jump out their rookie years oftentimes are not the first round wide receivers. They're the second, third round guys. Like, I don't remember where Justin Jefferson was drafted. Was he in the first round?
Yeah, actually, I think he was. Yeah, because
he was drafted behind a good amount of other ones. But anyway, This guy here, here's something else to consider too. I don't remember which team he comes from, but it wasn't Alabama. So if you're comparing Julio, that gives you a boost. Also, Alex Pierce is white. So I can't remember the last white wide receiver that was drafted in the first round. You're not going to tell me it doesn't matter. It does matter, but it may matter. It may be better.
I can tell you the last one I know of.
Who? Oh, Matt Jones. Huh?
Matt Jones.
There you go. Well,
no, it doesn't.
Once again, it doesn't matter first round or not.
Yeah, me personally, it doesn't matter.
So I just wanted to throw that name out there. I'm not saying the guy's going to be good. I know nothing about the guy.
And that's why I brought that up.
Hoping he can be there, because we just talked about the wide receivers. We said they're not a squad on paper that looks like that great from best we can tell. And this is a guy that they're hoping could come in and fill that need for that dynamic player. So we'll see.
Right. And because of the way that they drafted, because of the way that they structured their team, they have to hope on a draft pick. And sort of that helps us. That's in our favor. I'm not sure a lot else is, but that's in our favor. If you have to hope on your number 2 and 3 wide receivers being draft picks this year, okay, I'll take that. That's positive Jags. So I'm not necessarily worried about it. I don't care if coming out of mini camp he says he looks like Megatron. I don't care, because when the pads go on, which happens in about 2 weeks, I don't know if you know, but training camp's about 2 weeks. Yeah. Then 2 weeks after that, we should get our first preseason game. But yeah, when the pads go on, the game changes.
Yep. We'll have to do our episode on previewing or training camp thoughts and
hopefully they let us out at training camp this year. I'm gonna look and see what is open to the public. So Jags, if you're listening, let me in. I need press credentials. I only want to go to one or two. That's it. That's what I need. I need press. How do we get press credentials? If anybody knows, please tell us.
Maybe we go up, we say, look, man, we got a YouTube channel.
We got a podcast.
We got anywhere from upwards to 10 to 20 views.
Tens and tens of likes.
Speaking of views, hit the like button.
Yeah, hit the subscribe button. I think that helps. But yeah.
That's what they call a segue in the business.
Yeah. Anyway, I would definitely like to attend, hopefully, a padded practice. I try to get out there at least once every year. So the last 2 years, I haven't been able to make it. But I'd like to get out there and at least make one, maybe 2 this year.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. But all right, brother. With that being said,
I guess there's not too much we can else to cover on the Colts. Next week's the Texans. So
yeah, next week's the Texans, and then the week
we saved the best for last.
Yeah.
Couldn't hate on the Texans. They beat us twice last year. So.
And again, I tell you, I tell you, I think that's what it is. The Texans get up to play the Jags, but the Jags don't care. It's like the Jags don't care about any team. Can we have a team that we actually dislike? Like, we ain't got to hate them. I
think the Colts fans could say that in regards to their team against us, but I don't know that we can say that against the Texans, because the Texans have pulled out that battle red for whatever reason against us, which I never have understood. Like, why do you pull out your special unis for the worst team in your division? I never understood that, but the fact that we're the worst team in the division, it's hard to say we don't get up for the Texans, because we don't really get up for a lot of teams. So it's like, the question is why did we beat Buffalo and why did we beat the Colts? And, is that a indication of something? I personally think that it could be. I think, with the dysfunction last year that beset the team, you're not going to tell me that doesn't affect absolutely every facet of attempting to go up against a team that is not only more talented than you, but doesn't have that dysfunction. So on the times when you get a team slipping a little bit, then football can kick in, and I think that's what we saw a few times. Plus, the Colts was the last game.
That's what it is. They said, "Hell no, we're not going out like this." The problem is they need to do that on week 1. Like, no, we're not going out like this. No, we're not going to go out like this. You may lose.
You said the Colts, they're going to be up for this. They should have been. That was their playoff game, man. To get into the playoffs, all they had to do was beat the Jags, man.
The lowly 2-16 Jags, 2-15 or 14, whatever we were at the time. That's all they had to do. Dude, they overlooked us. And by the time they knew it, they were 2 touchdowns down. They had 12 minutes left in a game, and they couldn't do shit. Uncle Mo left.
Yeah.
He said, no, I'm done.
Yeah, and everybody talks about it like it's a fluke, and I get that, and I'm not dismissing that necessarily, but I mean that was from start to finish. We outworked those guys. We out physicaled that team.
Yeah, we got up. That's what happens when Jacksonville gets up. The problem is, again, why was that not in week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4?
Because of the Meyer factor. That's why.
Yeah, but Meyer was gone 6 weeks before that, and we still didn't see it.
Yeah, but that whole situation there, it takes a while to get the funk off, man.
I'm not saying that was a good situation. I'm not saying that didn't have that definitely had something to do with it. I'm just saying that really, I think that those 53 men looked at each other and said, we're not losers. And we're going to beat this team. And the other 53 men said, these guys are losers. We can't lose. Yeah. And they lost. So that's what I think.
Maybe. So, and to your point, though, maybe that makes it all the more that they won't take them for granted again. The fact that it was their playoff game. And I mean, I don't know.
The only thing that may even serve us is they come here. They're not coming here to win. They're coming here to whoop our ass. Now, thing is, we have to be able to take their punch and punch back.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because let me tell you something. If something happens, like some sort of early turnover,
fumble,
lead, all of a sudden
they start second guessing themselves.
In and thinking, oh, we're cursed and hexed, and we can't win.
That definitely can help us. All right, brother. That's about all the time we got for you guys tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Again, please hit the like, subscribe, drop us a comment sometime at some point, please. All right.